Hello, and welcome to Midweek Gaming number 68. Back once again. It's been a nice sunny day, mostly. A few showers here and there. Welcome to Midweek Gaming once again. Hello, if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, etc., please leave us a 5-star review. I've left the Anchor service. I've moved all the podcasts over to Acast because I wasn't very impressed because they all claim Anchor's the best. And I believe that to be the case. Well, I logged into Apple Podcasts to get my analytics for plastic platforms that I do. Anchor was telling me my latest show has there's 2 downloads. Apple Podcast told me on Apple Podcast downloads alone there was 23 downloads. So I'm not putting up with the lies anymore. So I moved the service over to Acast and almost all 3 shows, and it seems to be the analytics seems far deeper. It tells you who's downloaded on what. So yeah, I've moved over to Acast now. So the full transition should take 2 weeks, but the feed's already moved. But yes, just thought I'd tell people I've moved over to Acast because everyone highly rates Anchor. I do not. The stats ain't real. A lot of the problems started when they were acquired by Spotify. If you're new to podcasting, how Anchor used to work and why it used to be so great. If you put your podcast on there, it will upload it automatically to Apple Podcasts, Google, all the big networks. If you're a new account now, they just upload it to Anchor and Spotify. You have to do everything manually yourself. New people do, and obviously, it's probably to benefit Spotify because they really only want your podcast on Spotify because they acquired Anchor. But yeah, sorry about my little rant there. But anyway, back on with the show. And this week we've got this Doom Reaper. I'm on about my podcast. You know, where you download them on Apple Podcasts, etc. I've moved them from Anchor service over to Acast. Much better company and analytics. So it helps when working out where it's most popular. But anyway, this week we have a guest, and I tell you what, a really bloody good artist. He's very good. Hello, meisuko. How are you doing?
Thank you much, Stubbs. I am doing very good. I am having some holidays now, 1 week, so I am just relaxing and trying to do some art and just generally enjoying life.
That's great to hear because I tried to get you on I think it was a month ago I asked you. You said, "Oh, sorry, Stubbs, I'm really busy with work at the minute." You were very.
I was shocked, when I checked the DMs, oh no, it has been already this long time. But luckily, still the door was open.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. It's been a while.
Thank you.
It has. Has been a while. Just do a few shout outs to people in chat. Doom Reaper, and he has put Johnny wins almost flawless victory. Johnny Depp beat Amber Heard. Shocking, not? That was crazy. It was. But meisuko's in chat as well. VJ, it's Timmy. Who else we got? Graphic God, welcome. Thanks for popping in. Matt Barnes, thanks for popping in. But yes, also welcome back to Animated Evil. How you doing?
Let's test though, shall we? Right, before we go on, before I say hi to everyone, is my microphone working this week?
It definitely is working.
Yeah, awesome. Last week we had some difficulties, right? It was a little bit annoying, but yes, this time straight in. Thanks for having me. It's great to have the elusive meisuko in with us because obviously he's in the podcast. He's in lots of podcasts all the time. To hear his voice, awesome. Great to have you, meisuko. Yeah, so do you know what? I'm doing good. Looking forward to tonight.
That's great to hear, that is. VJ, have you got a cup of tea? Have you got a cup of tea ready?
I will do in a minute. I'm going to pop down and get one just after I've finished the intro bit. I like that. what Animated Evil just said, elusive Meisuko. That's a really good one. It had me chuckling there for a minute. I hope you don't mind, Meisuko, but it's quite fitting.
No. As long as I'm not described as rare Pokemon or something like that.
You'd definitely be far more valuable.
Tell you what, I must have Gears of War on the brain because I've just read. I just read the comment, and it's Gems of War, not Gears of War, that's being talked about in chat.
Yeah, Gears of War. Yeah. So no, I'm just really glad Meisuko's on. We don't get to talk as much as when we used to play. Well, when we used to play Back for Blood, which was we had not animated. We had Removable Sanity screaming and shouting at everyone, and Animated popping on, teaching us how to play the game. So those good old days.
If you ever want to get told off, play with Removable Sanity, right?
Yeah.
He's even good at Gears of War Horde mode. He's good at organising people and telling people what to do.
It's really interesting because he creates these really, sort of wondrous, placid reviews of indie games. And then, you get online with him and he's just got an absolutely unbelievable vocabulary of expletives that he lets loose. it's just phenomenal. But anyway, thanks for having me on the show, Stubbs-san. And it seems like we've got a cozy quartet for tonight.
Yeah, no. Also, Mr. Tushi should be in at some point soon. He'll be joining us. I don't think Cerebral Paul's joining us tonight. Hope he feels better soon. So we're going to go with a topic that I just asked Meisuko if there was anything he wanted to talk about on the show, and he come up with something very good because it's not a topic that gets talked about a lot on podcasts in general because a lot of people like to go for, so obviously the news topics, but this is something different. So it's to do with around the soundtracks in gaming. So do you have any favourite memories of any music in any games? And is a soundtrack an important element for a game? Which it's a very good topic. It really is around the whole music and soundtrack genre because it really adds to the game. But seeing as I'll ask you, Meisuko, seeing as you suggested the topic.
Yes, definitely important for me, and for me since I started my gaming in the PC side in the beginning of 90s, so I probably have a different kind of memories than many others. Like didn't get to NES or the Sega consoles, only hearing them when playing with friends at
You didn't play
home.
the Sega Mega Drive?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I enjoyed those games also, but didn't own any of those. But
fair enough.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm going to get you for a Stubbscast soon, Meisuko. Don't you worry. I will get you for one.
yeah. So pretty much like because like these NES and Sega consoles in the 80s and 90s, they were like they have their own sounds because they have their own sound chips. So they have very unique music, and because they have the kind of hardware limitation what they can do. So I would say at that point there was like many smart composers, especially in Japan, that created very much like this kind of soundtracks that are very easy to remember and are catchy, and I would it always also reminds me of the the synth music of 80s movies. Like it the kind of blends in my memory, like the good times of synth music in movies and also in the games. And for me, the first memories definitely were this Monkey Island music and all the different other LucasArts graphic adventure games, and those are also the kind of immediately you remember them, and also catchy tunes. So those are definitely from the early days that I remember, and definitely always for me, music and games, like like let's say there is a game that has good graphics, good story, and so on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's say that it doesn't have good music. So in my case, it doesn't leave that lasting imprint in my head, like the overall experience of the game. So I think it's a little bit like when there is the music and the visuals and the gameplay, when you have all the three different complementing each other, so it really leaves a better memory, at least for me. I don't know how about the other panel members.
Yeah, no, you got some good points there, because it can really add to the game. It kind of good soundtrack. Because I imagine though, you're quite, when you do your painting, do you listen to soundtracks from games as well? Does that inspire you? Because I know you listen to a lot of podcasts when you're painting. Do you
I like.
listen to game soundtracks as well, but to inspire you?
Yeah. Sometimes I listen music, but it's not necessarily like I know like famous artists who really like to listen music while they are painting, but it's not really necessary for me. But I really enjoy like listening podcasts and also doing something creative on the side.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. You got some good
Yeah.
points on the soundtracks in games. They're definitely
and I actually like I don't know how you guys remember it, but the CD music on PC side, it came pretty quickly, like already like midway of the 90s already, like there was like a lot of music that had totally discarded this synth music in the PC side. So there was actually at that point already a lot of like for that time high resolution recorded music, and it could even be like pure CD audio, because the games themselves hadn't grown like massive. So it could be like the game itself could be like a tenth of the CD size, and the rest was pure audio, like a CD audio quality that you could just put to your CD player and listen to it. So there was at that moment, I think in the Western side, there was this quick change from this kind of synth and MIDI music into like orchestral and other types of recorded music, like we know it today. But on the Japanese side and the console sides, I think this kind of synth and this type of music continued, like at least the PlayStation era, and let's say PlayStation 2 era was the time when it really started to change in that area as well.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right with the PlayStation. You had a lot of like you had your like there was classic games like Final Fantasy, weren't there? You definitely have different styles of genres for gaming. You do.
Yeah.
Have you got any? Have you got any games in any favourite songs from games or soundtracks from games? Like, that you're actually your favourites? Any specific games?
Yeah. There is probably like many that other people's also remember, like Doom.
It's hard.
Doom
It's
music.
hard to remember.
Yeah,
Some of them.
yeah. Doom is easily remembered, and
Yeah, Doom Reaper's mentioned that Doom 93 soundtrack. He's put Quake soundtrack.
Yeah. And I remember like when Command and Conquer Red Alert.
I used to play that because my dad used to have a PC. I played that game. Yeah.
So that music was a great mix of marching music, electronic music, and it felt like pretty fresh at the time.
It did definitely was. I played Dune as well back then. Do you remember Dune? June, it's probably called June.
Yeah. I remember that.
Dune.
Yeah,
that was quite good. That was
really good. That Westwood was one of those great studios back in the day.
There was loads back in the day, weren't there?
Yeah, no, not anymore.
No.
Yeah, I would say like after those 90s games, like let's say like Halo is another that comes in the beginning of 2000s, like that was like a really awesome soundtrack, and I don't think like anyone could like say that Halo would be a as good game if it didn't has as rocking soundtrack like it did have. Like I really don't at least for me all of those getting into those action moments and hearing the music starting to rock, it was great feeling back in the day.
It's good to hear. That is. That's good to hear. So, I'm trying to push you to talk more, Meisuko. I was told before the podcast. keep him going. Keep him going. Was talking about 47 minutes or 70 minutes.
Well, that's pretty long time.
But no, some good opinions on that topic, definitely.
Yeah.
No, Meisuko, you have to achieve those 72 minutes. Me and Animated are just going to pop in now and then with a commercial break.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Or public announcements.
Yes.
Yeah, no, some good opinions on that. Just welcome to Pinky off Legend in chat, Baldman Gamer, welcome. And Luke Steele, welcome. Thanks for popping in. But yes, you got any thoughts on this topic, Animated Evil?
Do you know what? Absolutely, I do, mate. So, music in video games. So I've spent the last not so long. I've just got in from work, but it's okay. Spent the last 10, 20 minutes thinking about it before the show, thinking music in video games, does it matter? And the answer is a sublime yes. Of course it does, because music is like the sense of smell, right? Well, hearing is like the sense of smell, with it being, So it brings up memories of things you did in the past. So it'll bring up it'll resonate with a game. You will hear a track outside of a game and think, oh, I remember playing this to this. I think something that's memorable, I'm sure it's Top Loader. This is off the top of my head. Top Loader in one of the Gran Turismos. If I ever hear that track again, it's like, oh, I remember playing Gran Turismo 3 to this on my PlayStation. What a great song. Yeah? But what the question begs Dex really is, right? Let me just put it out there. Where would games like SSX Tricky be without the amazing soundtrack it had? I mean, the soundtrack was so good, they built it into the gameplay. Who still remembers the battle victory music in Final Fantasy VII? I know I do. Every time I think I've done something wrong, I hear that. It's like, yay. Seriously, who still remembers Outrun? We all remember those tracks. The music that's in those games takes you back to, it brings back memories. It brings back those good feelings. It triggers kind of those memories of the euphoric things you were doing at those times. Personally, I actually take out the great soundtracks. Obviously, like just the same as movies. You can actually, I listen to a lot of soundtracks while I'm at work. What do I listen to? Mass Effect, especially Mass Effect 1. Fallout, I listen to the original, well, not the remake of Deus Ex. I can sit and work all day listening to those tracks that, like Meisuko was describing, very, very sort of synthetic, synthwave kind of tracks. Absolutely love them. But it's not just games as well. Look at movies. Where would the movie Drive be, or even Guardians of the Galaxy, without that awesome, awesome soundtrack? And for me, again, Guardians of the Galaxy that was released on into Game Pass, where would that be without the soundtrack? That just drives home that feeling of this is brilliant. So it's a good question, absolutely fantastic. And yes, I have to agree with Meisuko that music in games is absolutely fantastic. And Doom Reaper, I would listen to Diablo soundtrack. I've never played Diablo, unfortunately. You can come at me if you want, it's fine. I've never played it.
I also remember this top loader from Gran Turismo now that you mentioned it.
Absolutely. As soon as that song comes on the radio, listen to an old song, it's like, oh, I remember PlayStation 2 burning around in my overpowered Mitsubishi 3000. Because that was one of the fastest cars in the game, right? You could do the what was it, the loop. You could do the loop. You could do it in record time if you had the Mitsubishi 3000. Absolutely fantastic. And that song just brings me back to that moment. And I was like, what? 15, 16 at that time? What a great feeling. So yes, music in video games is key. Without it, we wouldn't remember them as much.
No. Totally agree.
That's definitely true, that is. But no, you're right. I was about to introduce Mr. Tushi, but he vanished again.
I think what it is, I was talking about music. He thinks he's jumped in the wrong podcast.
Welcome to Steve Watson. Welcome, mate. How you doing? First time seeing you in live. Thanks for popping in. VJ. Oh, hang on. He's back again. Now, did you think you jumped in the wrong podcast? That's what Animated Evil thinks because he was talking about music.
No, I pressed the wrong fucking I closed the wrong fucking window, didn't I?
Welcome. Thanks for coming by.
So I'm a bit late.
It's all right.
Oh, you know why.
It's been Jim.
No, I've been eating loads of food, haven't I?
We have as well, yeah.
Yeah.
It weren't McDonald's though.
No, I've had one in 5 weeks.
Damn, you're doing well. You're doing well. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
All right, so what's the topics then? I'm lost already.
Gee, the one we're on now is Meisuko come up with a very good question. Do you have any favourite memories with any soundtracks in video games? And is a good soundtrack an important element in a game?
Yes. Just should say one that comes straight to mind straight away when you think of soundtrack. Crazy Taxi.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was just pure offspring through the whole game, wasn't it?
I can't remember it offhand now. I can't. I have to look it up.
I can't really remember most of them. The main ones you remember is stuff like Halo. You remember stuff like Perfect Dark, GoldenEye.
Sonic.
From the old days. Sonic, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it is, because it is a very important element to a game, but I struggle to remember half the bloody soundtracks, but there's certain ones like Sonic 1, 2, I can always remember them because, like, you know, like when you die, Sonic 2, like, I'm sure that's the one where you go into water, and when you're running out of air,
Yeah,
to your dead.
that's on Sonic 1, the Labyrinth.
Sonic 1, that's
Labyrinth,
it.
or whatever it was.
Right, it like makes you really stressed, doesn't it? Oh, I'm about to die. It makes me anxious.
Looking for that bubble.
Yes, get out of the water. Oh no! But no, it's crazy what the music can do. It can, because it is very important to games. It's got a good soundtrack. It is. But yeah, it is hard to think and get games off. Indie Game agrees on this one. I love a good game soundtrack. He's just said.
What about Stubbs? Like, let's say if you would have to think about it, like, do you like this kind of, like, let's say atmospheric soundtrack that gives a good kind of background to the game, or do you like that the soundtrack is more catchy and you would like to listen to it by itself and not just in a game?
Yeah, that's interesting because I've never actually listened to a game soundtrack outside of the game before. I've never done it. I haven't. I might try that actually. I might give a few soundtracks a listen.
If
not
it's
playing the game.
If it's a game you know well, right? And like I said, I listened to the Fallout soundtrack with Fallout 3 and 4 mainly. I listened to the Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and Human Revolution soundtracks, and even the Mass Effect 1. If they are games, I've just hit my microphone. Sorry. If you know them games very well, and you've played them for a considerable time, just listening to the sound does bring back that feeling of how well you felt at that time when you play him. So when it's all going off at work and stuff, and there's just a steady stream of people saying, "I need your help, I need your help, I need your help," I just jot one of them soundtracks on quite quietly and just chill. And it's fine. Just keep it coming, keep it piling on. The list is getting bigger, not any smaller, but we're all good. It does take you back to that time where you were enjoying that particular moment in the game, or it reminds you of just feeling happy and that kind of thing, in my opinion, of course. But it's definitely worth trying if it's a game you like.
That's very true. I'll try that. Oh, I knew. Welcome, Indie Gamer. I knew it'd come. Here you go. Hollow Knight soundtrack.
That's one for VJ, that, isn't it?
Yeah, VJ would like that, won't you, VJ?
Yeah.
What about the soundtrack to Death Stranding? That was very relaxing and therapeutic. That was. Remember the music in that?
I haven't played that
totally
one yet.
agree.
I want to play it because it's a game that I didn't think you would like, and I was shocked you liked it.
It's different. It's different. That's all I can say. Challenging as well.
There is one soundtrack that comes to mind. Steve Watson's mentioned it. Oh, Gears of War. Excellent. Gears of War 1, 2, and 3. I won't go so far as to say Gears 4 and 5, though. I wouldn't. But I can't go a show without saying it. Even though I haven't played the game in months. I haven't.
You know, for me, like, I really like to listen many types of soundtracks. Like I really love like many movie soundtracks as well, and many TV soundtracks, and somehow I like, let's say like in previous times we had these classical composers who were like making really music that could be like remembered for a long time. And somehow I feel like these kind of composers who are making nowadays the music for movies and TV shows and games, that they will also be remembered for very long time to come.
You are right, because a lot of them, I believe, I can't remember exact names, but some of them start out in making early in the 90s, or they start their careers in making video game soundtracks, and they can end up can turn out to be making, adverts on TV, down to movies, TV series, soundtracks. It's a big industry making that kind of music. It's a talent, it's a skill. It's not, well, it's like an art form, music, isn't it? It is.
Yes.
Well, look how popular people like Hans Zimmer has got within the movie industry. I think what you're referring to, the people in the gaming industry can be as well known as him at some point. Of course they can. If there's a very prolific composer that's absolutely brilliant, a sound designer, all the movie studios, all the game studios go to and say your stuff's brilliant. Of course it will. Yeah, if you could attach your name to them songs, you will remember the name, and I will remember the name. It's how prolific they get is the question, because a lot of studios have their own in-house sound design, so they will only do. I'm sure there is bigger names out there that just do sound design and they get brought in, but I've not heard of anyone like that at the moment. But yeah, you've got a point.
Names do stick. Like, for example, on films, one of my favorite movies is the Terminator franchise. And like, you think of the soundtracks to them were all done by Brad Fidel. Is it Fidel? Brad Fidel? Fidel? I can't remember how you pronounce his second name. But I don't know, it's just always, because you know the track so well, the name comes up all the time in my head when you hear the music or the heartbeat of the Terminator, stuff like that. I don't know. It's a similar thing, isn't it?
Yeah, just want to point something out. Steve Watson's just said, I don't know anything about Star Wars, so I also want to point out that the first Star Wars game was rough before they added the soundtrack.
Yeah, he meant Star Wars movie. He carries on, but yeah, it's correct. It's correct.
The Star Wars movies, yeah. But indie game was also listed, a load of them. Good soundtracks. Hollow Knight.
Oh, I forgot how good Ori was. Ori's amazing. Ori is absolutely fantastic.
Ori, Celeste, Doom 2016, Eternal 5, Death's Door, Katana Zero, Ender Lily, Super Meat Boy, and SMB Forever, and tons more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, VJ, can I get your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I'm not sort of well versed in music, so I can only sort of really speak to my sort of own experiences. I think Animated Evil made a.
We all get him mixed up, the pair of them.
Oh no! It's just
how.
I do it as well.
It's just that Animated Evil made I think he made an impassioned and true statement regarding music in general, because I think we all can agree that regardless of the stories and the memories that we have, music has the same effect in terms of it can evoke specific moments in your past, and that sort of sends you off to, well, depending how good your memory is, they can be as vague or as vivid, dependent on how old you are. Because obviously memories fade with time, but music just has that ability to sort of help narrow down a focus of times gone by. So, but for me, I think Animated and Meisuko mentioned some great games. I think that everybody remembers. But for me, it's because I really like RPGs. Dragon Quest VIII is probably the first example for me that comes to mind of a great soundtrack, and only because like it sort of it went across from the NES and then over to the sound chip and the Famicom, and then on the PS2, being on CD, and then back to the Nintendo DS, and then of course the the orchestral track, I think, which was for the Series X. So it's spanned across generations, but it just never lost its sort of meaningfulness to me anyway. And you just doesn't matter how it was produced or on what sound chip or what technology it's been produced on. It's just unmistakable for me. And I think Dragon Quest VIII probably stands out the most for me, because I think it was released on the PS2 all those years ago. And yeah, I think it was it was phenomenal for me, and the game was phenomenal in itself. So, but I think for me, like in terms of soundtracks, like when Dragon, I think it was 11. I think I might have mentioned on the show that I was a bit concerned because even though the soundtrack was great, the kind of the overworld sort of tune was never really developed, right? It was like kind of you spend 150 hours playing the game, and the soundtrack kind of started to just put me off a little bit. And I don't mean to be impolite about it, but yeah, it did. And I was so worried actually at the time, because like it doesn't matter what region you traveled in Dragon Quest XI, the music stayed the same. So when Final Fantasy VII Remake was coming out, I was so relieved at the time. I was thinking, wow, fantastic soundtrack, because what they did was actually evolve that soundtrack, right? So that that unlike the PlayStation 1 version of the game and on the PS4 version or PC version of the game, and I thought it was going to come to Series X, but hopefully maybe in the future, that they actually created more soundtracks and so on and so forth, and made I thought it might put some people off. It didn't me. I just thought that they built on what they already had, created some really fantastic new tracks, and it just accentuated the whole soundtrack for me as a whole. And I hope that kind of makes sense. I think Final Fantasy VIII should also get a really good mention, because I think it was the first time that I'd seen Square Enix take on an artist, and I think her name was Wong Fei or Fei Wong, and she was, and I was living in Hong Kong at the time, but I was again, it was just Square Enix being Square Enix at the time, or SquareSoft. Actually, it might have still been SquareSoft at the time. I can't remember. Someone will have to check it out. But she was a Hong Kong superstar in the mid to late 90s when I was there. Anyway, and she may still be now, but. And she was loved and adored in Hong Kong and all across Asia, and especially Japan. And Square Enix took her on board, and like she normally sang in her native tongue, which was Mandarin, but she recorded the track, I think, for the international release of Final Fantasy VIII in English, which was really cool as well. So for me, it's like, we can name like tons and tons of games. I think Outrun, God of War 2018, even the previous ones, Last of Us 1 and 2, Metal Gear Solid 4, the title screen, Batman Arkham Asylum, and of course Hollow Knight, which I often listen to. And I think one of the best ones, and I know this is a PlayStation game, so many people in the chat or in the panel may not have played it. I thought that, and I don't know if it won the award that year when it came out, but Ghost of Tsushima and Jin's theme especially, and all the tracks in the photo mode were one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. And then I think when Nintendo re-released, I think was it Mario Galaxy and about 2 other games that Nintendo launched, sort of recycling some of their old IP. Mario Galaxy, I think
Mario Sunshine, and I bought it. I ain't played it yet.
Did you play Mario Galaxy? Because there's
I did play it.
Because there's a couple of tracks. The only 2 I can remember, and I know this was Good Egg Galaxy and Gusty Gardens. And if you haven't Galaxy, if you haven't heard those or played the game, for me it was like those soundtracks were perfectly aligned with the character Mario, obviously, the world design, the controls. It was just perfect harmony. In terms of all the aspects of all the aspects or facets that make up a particular game level. And I think for me, from the arcades, probably Street Fighter, especially Ryu's stage. You guys probably all know that one. And then going forward is that it's really strange because people ask what game are you looking forward to, and this you get the usual. But for me, it's Silksong, and I think partly, I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer on Nintendo's site, but whenever I watch the sort of trailer for Silksong, it's the soundtrack again. It feels like it's gone up a level, and that's kind of got me. It's not just the fact that I'm a fan of Hollow Knight and playing with Hornet and or the preview of playing with Hornet and Silksong, but the soundtrack, the little bit that we get in the 2 minutes, it's just it's kind of, those two things combined have got me really looking forward to the game, as well as God of War Ragnarok. So
yes.
So yeah, those are the games for me. But the thing is, what I'm saying is that you can apply what I'm saying. You don't have to apply it to the games that I'm talking about specifically, because we've all got subjective tastes. But you can apply what I'm saying to perhaps some of the games or some of the soundtracks that span across decades, right? And apply the same sort of, what can I call it, sentiment, right, to your own sort of respective experiences. So yeah. I think the latest one in my mind is probably Ghost of Tsushima, which was phenomenal. So so that's me.
There's some excellent points there, and excellent, quite a big list there, VJ. I mean, I like to add in and playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and the soundtrack on that is excellent.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah,
really
some of my choices. Sorry, Mr. Stuff. Some of my choices might have kind of, obviously sort of crossed over Mr. Tushi's, Meisuko's, animated, and even the chat, but we've all kind of, we may not all be exactly the same age, but we're all sort of been in that era, in and around the, the same, amongst the same games, right? And those great games, if you haven't played them, like Outrun, a Magical Sound Shower that Mr. Tushi mentioned, I don't know many people that play video games that wouldn't recall that particular soundtrack, right? So, anyway, sorry.
No, there's some excellent points, an excellent list there you've got. But it's definitely, we can all agree on one thing, it's definitely an important element to games. However, Baldman Gamer in chat just turns the soundtrack off and thinks it's distracting. So
that's because
I do that on some games too. Sorry.
That's because he has a theme tune to Mind Run in the background.
He's probably playing Barbie, the Barbie soundtrack. That's why.
Oh my God.
Well, he keeps saying they should scrap Gears of War and make Barbie. So. But yeah, no, just welcome to a few more people that have popped into the chat. I think I've seen Mama Rocks back from the dead. Let's have a look. I think Pinky of Legend, I think I've seen. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think that's it for the minute. Any more thoughts on this topic? Were you trying to say something, Meisuko?
Yeah, there was one game that I would like to mention. Like, I am guessing that all the members on the panel has played like Far Cry 5.
I haven't, no.
No.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
But the panel's not surprised either. So
yeah. So that game has very, very interesting dynamic soundtrack. Like it totally can, depending on the situation in the game world, can change from different kind of tempos and dynamics, and it is really like sometimes you can have this kind of space between changing of the music, but I never felt it in that game. Like it went flawlessly, like from different situations to different situations, and that kind of like mixing system or whatever is in the background is really impressive in modern days. And
hey, how animated?
Yes.
You've missed it now.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the. I was in chat. It's one you've seen before, guys. It's one you've seen before. Zoom in. I think there you go.
Sorry, Meisuko.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So that game has amazing soundtrack. I would recommend you guys listen it on Spotify, because that whole game is like they are all the time like playing on your mind. Is this game like irony, or is it like because it never like shows it true color, like how they are like thinking about these themes, like this kind of religious themes in the background. They are always like having it in the background, but never showing their true colors, like how, and they pretty much leave it to the gamers after you have experienced the whole game.
How's that one?
Did you just run and change your T-shirt?
Yeah.
I'd
put a cool one on.
Okay, got some excellent points there, meisuko. You have.
I'm going to change again.
Oh, for God's sake! But no, I tell you what, that's been a fun topic. That's meisuko.
I thought it was a great topic.
It was definitely a good topic. That was. Thanks for recommending that, suggesting it, meisuko. It's not something you hear on podcasts generally. People don't talk about it.
I'm very happy to hear all of you guys.
The chat seemed to
this. Yeah.
The chat seemed to have enjoyed it. If you listen on demand after, drop a comment down in the comment section. Let us know what your favourite games are. Not games, sorry, music soundtracks, and what music means for you in gaming. Pop it in the comments down below on YouTube after. Welcome to War Stew in the building. Going to move on to the next topic now. So, hang on, who was about? Oh yeah, hang on. Let's get. He's changed his T-shirt again. So
it's only an Xbox one.
There we go.
It's only an Xbox T-shirt, but this will do.
Okay. So, basically, I've been reading an article on PlayStation Studios is preparing to invest in big new IP. So it says by the end of 2025 financial year, 50% they want 50% of Sony's investment in to be into its PlayStation Studios will go towards the creation of brand new IPs. While it was previously mostly focused on developing existing IP, pointing to a 2019 figure that saw a 77% investment in its current franchises and only 23% in new ones. Sony has been slowly shifting towards a more even split. By the end of 2022 financial year, Sony will be investing 66% in existing IP, with 34% in new IP, and by the end of 2025, they want it to be exactly 50-50. This is the latest confirmation that Sony sees a great value in developing its first-party PlayStation Studios. As it revealed earlier in May, it's also investing a further $300 million into its developers, including God of War's Sony Santa Monica studio, Guerrilla Games as well. This is great news for the games industry, as many people in the past have accused. Well, it's one thing I've noticed. Have accused PlayStation of rest on their laurels while Xbox Game Pass kicking. They do, and from what I can see, PlayStation's far on all cylinders, and it's probably be that Xbox has fired them up. And as we always say, competition breeds competition. It makes the industry healthier. It does. So what's your thoughts on PlayStation increasing investment into new IP?
You mean competition breeds quality?
Yes, sorry. Yes, yeah. I got.
Well, we hope it does. So you might be right. So.
Yeah. Yes, I got the wording mixed up there. Thanks for that.
No, but
VJ.
you might actually be right, because it doesn't always guarantee quality, does it?
Not always. It's but with some games you see what. Chuck mud at the wall and see what sticks, see what works. Some games won't work.
My underpants.
I think Tushi throws mince pies at the wall because they're just a lot tastier than mud.
Well, my underpants, they stick.
They're not tasty though, are they?
I don't know. Do you want to taste them? Should I send them? Should I post them? Yeah.
Oh no, please don't. The postage will cost you a bomb sending over here to California.
Hey, the lighty lads here. Welcome. I ain't seen you in here in a while. Thanks for popping in.
What a fucking sausage, eh?
But no, got any thoughts on the new IP, meisuko? The plans to do a 50-50 split? Because PlayStation as a whole, I mean, when you look at not being nasty. If you look at Xbox, like I'm on about iconic characters. They haven't had any new ones in quite a while, have they? So with PlayStation, you've got Aloy. All right, they've got that many new characters, but they've got some new games. They have, and it's all good in general. What's your thoughts on the new IP?
Definitely, I'm all for new IPs, and I think it doesn't only consider like Sony, but I think like in general, like like both Sony and Xbox, they have this huge wealth of game developers, like thousands of people on both sides. And I am just like thinking like that what if they just divided these teams? I wouldn't say like like equally divide the teams, but like let's say if you have a few hundred people game studio, why wouldn't you, or you couldn't have a team inside of a team, like let's say 40 people or something like that, who is creating new IPs? And because with that kind of amount of people, with highly motivated people, you could create wonderful games like Plague's Tale or some other games that have been created with smaller teams, and and these smaller games could later become a bigger IP for Sony or Xbox. So I definitely think that there is a chance when both of these companies have so many people working for them, that they could have like this kind of innovative teams within the studios. And I think it would be generally good for the well-being of the developers, like that they wouldn't have to always do the same thing. Like let's say some developer is feeling a little bit like burnout on some of the IP, and they could be creating something creative once in a while. Yeah,
exactly. Something they could create something new. They could,
yeah.
Because sometimes certain studios get burnt out on the same game.
Yeah,
they do.
Like Coalition, like Stubs, like.
I bloody knew you lot were going to say that.
Meisuko, if you ever want to be invited back on this show again, the Coalition and Gears of War are off limits. Yeah, just so you know.
No, it's like.
I tell you what, they chose. They weren't forced into Gears of War. They chose.
No,
Gears of War,
I know. No, but I'm meaning like. There must be people working there.
I agree.
That would also want to do something else. So,
if rumors
think about the situation that they wouldn't have to find a new job.
That's true. But I will say
they could still stay in the company and do something different.
Well, they can. If rumors are correct, Meisuko, apparently they're working on a smaller game, a survival horror game. The Coalition are working on a side project, and it's a smaller game, survival horror. Whether that's true or not, who knows? I don't know.
Hopefully it's true.
Who knows? I'm going to bring up a comment Steve Watson said. He's not wrong. I kind of feel like they're out of their depth, though, with multiplayer. Kind of how it feels like Xbox is out of their depth with third person single player games. He's right, because PlayStation need to expand multiplayer, and they are trying. It's not going to be easy. And from what I can see, Xbox is also having the same problem with the third person over the shoulder action adventure games.
With a bow.
With a bow?
Yeah.
Well, with a bow. Oh, but yeah, it's you are right, Meisuko. There is certain studios that could do with working on something new, and It's like what happened with the. I know if RemovableSanity was here, he'd open up about this topic here. So as I mentioned, Killzone, that would be enough to get him going. Because he still likes Killzone.
He's mad on that, isn't he?
Yeah, he mentions it a lot, and I think I tell you that they brought that back. There'd be enough to get that bloke to buy a PS5. It would. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm pre-ordering it." But they moved on to the Horizon franchise, and they've gone to the studio's gone to new heights it didn't know they could before. Because although yes, I do love Gears, I do know the Coalition have got the potential to make a game that could be on the level of a game that like Sony Santa Monica make at Sony, but it's never going to be Gears. But they have got the potential to do a game of that level and caliber. But while they're doing Gears, they will never get to that level because Gears will never get.
You mean not the level? You mean are you saying that they may not be afforded the opportunity?
Well, what I mean is, if they were given a new IP, they could. I mean, the whole project, the whole team works on it. But with Gears, they're never going to get to that level because, come on, is Gears of War ever going to get to, even if it is amazing, it's never going to get to Game of the Year level, is it? Or stuff like that. It's never going to rise to them ranks. It's not. But if they were given a new IP, VJ, they could totally.
I mean, look, I'm not a creative guy, right? So it's difficult for me. But I think I think I get your point in terms of it's the likelihood of it is difficult. But the same could be said that when Sony Santa Monica, sort of didn't push, but Sharon Sudsdale said to Corey, "Look, come back." And he was reticent of going back because he'd have to work on another God of War. He only went back because he had full creative control and he wanted to do that single camera motion or capture the whole game in a single. I don't know whatever the technical term is for. I'm not a filmmaker, and he wasn't afforded that, and he wasn't allowed to do that at Crystal Dynamics, so he left. And basically, I guess what I'm saying is that if and how I don't know the possibility of it, but but you know where I'm going with this. But if they're given the authority to how can I put it, redesign Gears of War and in the way that they think it should be or reinvent it, right, like they did God of War 2018. Because when they announced God of War, I never thought it was going to win Game of the Year. But what I'm saying to you is that if they may not ever be afforded to make another game because perhaps Microsoft want them to continue to make Gears games and maybe and allow them to make a smaller game on the side. But there is always that possibility if they're committed enough is to reinvent aspects of Gears of War and take it to the next level. I don't know how they do it because again I don't have that sort of creative mind. But I would never rule it out. But it really just depends on if Microsoft are willing to give them not that we know, but what do you call it, incubation time, right, to actually try and test out and scope out a game that they think that Gears should be going forward. Because I don't know what you guys thought, but when I played Hive Busters, I just thought it was leaps and bounds better than in many ways, right, compared to the main Gears of War. Was it Gears 6 release? I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that was my take on it.
Well, they got a tidbit there because obviously a lot of people were under the presumption that it was Coalition's narrative story team that wrote Hive Busters, and I've since found out it was actually.
Was it you who wrote it?
No.
Oh,
it was the man that wrote the Gears of War comics, the Ram series. That's who wrote it.
Yeah, and that's just that, and that goes towards how much they're going to invest in different facets. Well, I suppose you call that a production value, right? In terms of how much they'll go out and give Gears time. Give the Coalition time and the production budget, like Sony Santa Monica received, right? It's not easy, but what I will say, it doesn't matter how many studios you have. It doesn't matter what even if you're a platform holder, you just never know where the next big thing is going to suddenly, sort of spark up from, so to speak. It could happen in Japan. It may even be that what's that game animated that you mentioned from China? That Wukong game you mentioned sometimes.
Oh, do you know what? It's been such a while since I've.
You know the one I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah, like the Monkey King thing, the Wukong thing. Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
but don't forget that was actually a tech demo to try and get other developers involved in the studio. That's not what the final game is going to look like. That was a tech demo.
And just so you know, that studio since then is receiving, state or government funding, which means basically, an extraordinary amount of funds. That's it. Black Myth Wukong. Thanks, Indie Gamer. And they've since also moved into a really, sort of more dynamic surroundings in terms of studio and so on and so forth. But I mean, I look at it. If you just look at the demo and okay, we know that the gameplay and the music and animations may all be temporary, but if you look at in terms of how many individual assets that have been created to populate the environments, it's absolutely incredibly phenomenal. I mean, that's a lot of effort, resource, and time has gone into that. So again, that could. I mean, I'm not saying it will be, but that could, something out. Just sort of to pursue my point is that a big game could come out of the blue completely, like Hollow Knight did, and I'm sure the indie game will chime in on that, which came out as an indie game from 3 people and ended up selling 3 or 4 or 5 million copies. So you just never know, Stubsan. You just never know.
That is true.
By the way, Viche, what do you feel like? Could it be plausible to have this kind of creative teams within the studio?
Yeah.
Like 40 or less people who would be creating new IPs, and you would like let the studio to move a little bit people and create like a good atmosphere for creative ideas.
See, I totally know what you mean, Meisuko. See, like indie games now, and why people love, not just why people, I think the people that produce indie games, why they love it. I don't know if you guys remember Bullfrog, that made Populous and all those sort of games. So before they were acquired by EA, they would ship a game, and then what would happen, an artist would go off in a corner, or a couple of designers would go off into another corner of the room, and basically they'd be working in silos, designing, creating, and just being given the freedom and the time after they shipped a game to go off and come up with the next big thing, or the next best best in class idea. And what you would find is that they would all talk to each other, but someone would look over the shoulder of an artist, say a programmer, and say, you know what, I've been working on this. Might actually, why don't we work together on this? Because I think that something that I'm working on resonates with what you're artistically creating. And basically what you get all these silos and all these people in different silos within their teams, and they weren't massive at the time, 20, 30, 40 people, and they would all gravitate to an idea organically, right? And that's how they managed to stay on top of their game. But then EA came along and bought them, and just basically changed the dynamic of how video games were produced, because they became, after Road Rash, Desert Strike, F-22 Interceptor, was it F-22 Interceptor, Lakers versus Celtic, PGA Tour Golf, I don't know if you guys remember all these games, and NHL Hockey. For me, when those games came out, I was like, wow. But what they then shifted into EA, because obviously huge license fees, was to saying, you know what, this is all great, but we need to go into completely production, spreadsheet process-led production process. Oh my God, I think I've said the same 6 words and different back to front there about 2 different times. But anyway, you get my point. And so because they were the market leader, and they were growing, and they had huge investments, and they were going to the stock market, all the other companies like Activision and THQ and everybody tried to follow suit. I don't know if you remember the 90s era, right? The boom of licensed content was all the rage. So and what you're finding, like almost 30 years on, is that those companies have had their sort of peaks and troughs over the last 3 decades, and so that's why indie gamers like to work. They're going back to the way that games were developed 30 years ago. And in terms of the big studios, Meisuko, there's a documentary you might want to watch. It's what's called Raising Kratos, and it kind of speaks to exactly what you're echoing in terms of having a creative hub where there's just a small team, maybe 5, 10, 15 people that are made up of designers and concept artists and people that know how to operate, and create sort of designs within a white box. That's what I used to call. I don't know what they're called now. Maybe the terminology's changed. And they develop ideas, and then when when a game's coming off a full production, at the back end, then the creative directors at the studio would sort of have a look at some of those ideas and decide, look, that potentially could lean into our next game, or the narrative. This design fits in with this narrative, and so on and so forth. And I think that Sony been doing that for quite a number of years, and I just don't think Microsoft have been doing, sort of creating such haven't really created such an environment, in their sort of past 10 or 15 years, which they're obviously changing now, right? But there's a balance, right? Because they're affording all their studios right now tremendous amounts of freedom, but you can see that you've got to always balance freedom with, this is just in my experience, right? And again, so just do your own research. You've got to balance that with discipline, and you've got to couple that also with what do you call it? What's that word called again? Accountability. So you've got to have that balance if you want to have an exceptional studio. And that documentary, which is kind of pretty much unfiltered to a vast degree, as much as they're allowed to. But if you watch it, you can see the trials and tribulations of a studio over a period of 4 or 5 years, where at one point they didn't even know if the game was going to be continued. And before Corey came in, they actually did have a team of about, I don't know, 40 or 50 people working on a concept, which you get a brief glimpse at, but it was never announced and never greenlit to go into pre-production, let alone full production. But yeah, I think there's value in what you're saying, Meisuko. If the people at the top put value into creative hubs, which, let's be honest, is just a burn cost, right? There's no profit in it, right? It's just that it's an R&D expense, so to speak. And I think Sony have benefited from investing in that for, as I said, for a couple of decades. They see the value in it, and that's why even that game from Japan, Last Guardian, it took 7 or 8 years to make with quite a small team, and had a lot of problems, but But I think
Isn't it a pity that they have now closed the Japan studios? Like, they were one of the most creative studios that PlayStation had.
I think that creatives, I know people might not agree with this, but I think creatives all have a lifespan. Maybe some have 5 years, some have 10 years, some can go for 20 or 30 years. You look at people like Shigeru Miyamoto. When was the last time he created a brand new IP? When did, what was that guy that left Square Enix? I forget his name now. Created Final Fantasy, or directed Final Fantasy VII.
How about Dave?
Not Dave. No, not Dave.
Steve.
Yuji Naka.
Hello, Dave.
Yu Suzuki. All these guys. I think creatives and even film directors, they all have a lifespan. And animated might even, I don't know about the music industry, but maybe animated will tell you as well that every artist has a lifespan, and some don't, some are evergreen, right? So it's a case of being able to refresh, and being that's a recruitment, and recruiting creative talent is a skill set in itself, and I think it's extremely undervalued in the industry. Because recruitment is what it's all about. Because if they've never recruited Corey Barlog or Barlog back to Santa Monica, who knows what that state that studio might have been in. So I think we don't talk about it on this show or other shows, any show actually, is the people that drive recruitment at creative companies, whether it's music, video games, or film, or even, what do you call that? The people that cast characters or voiceovers in certain video games, right? They're not given the how can I put it? The accolade, or whatever you want to call it, right? In terms of the job that they do, right? In terms of casting and hiring people for a particular studio, because it's not a creative director's job. He can tell, oh, this guy's a good modeler, this guy's, this, that, and the other. But to really see the spark in people, that's a different talent altogether. But I think I'm just waffling on now, so I'm just going to stop there.
Can I just put in a sec? Sorry, go on, Meisuko. Go on.
Yeah. No. This is like a question for the whole panel. Like let's say this Horizon Zero Dawn was like a leap for Guerrilla Games, like and the God of War 2018 was also a leap for Santa Monica. So how I feel about the situation, that all of them were like very like technically skilled teams, but when they manage to bring the feeling and this kind of drama and more like a human connection to the story, that they really raise their level. Or I don't know how everybody else is feeling.
Never played it. Can't comment.
Oh, it was definitely a step up from Killzone because it's new IP, and I'm currently playing it, and it's a really enjoyable game. I'm 40-something hours in, and even on the base PS4, it looks great. It really does. From artistic, as I got it wrong the other week, I was corrected. It's more of an artistic standpoint, graphically, it's beautiful. I would love to see it on. I've been told that even if you play on the PS5, it basically runs the same. It would be nice if they done a bit of a boost on the PS5, but they don't.
Oh, that was the guy, Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Sorry. Oh, that was him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if you agreed with what I was saying, Meisuko. So feel free to ask me, if you want to question.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking like I think PlayStation is in pretty good hands in this side of the things, like new IPs. So I don't think they will hit. I mean, like miss much of the whatever they are trying to achieve. Let's say like on the Xbox side, I would like to see this kind of transition from the immortal heroes to a little bit more like how could you say, like more vulnerable or humane heroes, and maybe that could bring like the teams forward.
You mean like Parappa the Rapper?
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the main difference is, though, I think between like I think it's to do with probably where the budget goes and where this, because like for example, 99% of PlayStation games are just a single player campaign and everyone concentrates on that. On Xbox side, they do like a campaign and a multiplayer, and for longevity stuff like that. And if you know what I mean.
It has to fit. I agree with that, but it has to fit. It can't be a bolt-on multiplayer just for the sake of it. It has to be just right.
But the biggest, wouldn't you say, Mr. Tushi, that the biggest multiplayer games are primarily third party?
They are.
They are, yeah, because you got like Call of Duty, FIFA, stuff like that. Yeah, they are.
Yep. So the edge that Sony have is that, because I can tell you now that the top 10 games that produced nearly 50, well, this is about 3 or 4 years ago, so this is why obviously Sony are making their moves now, were the top 10 games produced nearly, I think, 50% of their revenue. They were all third-party games, and the majority of them were the games. I mean, look, I'm not really sort of well versed in this, but games like what was that game? Fortnite. I don't play it. Call of Duty,
Fortnite,
stuff
Call
like
of Duty, so Apex Legends.
Yeah. So I think with third-party investing so much in multiplayer that Sony have just said, you know what, look, we need to complement these games with two things really. One is complement them with single player campaign games, which is what our studios are geared up to do, and secondly, invest in multiplayer games of our own, which they have done since 2018, I think, and which we won't see the fruits of until perhaps next year or this year. Well, they said this year there's something coming out next year and over the next 2 to 3 years, and I think we're at a point of convergence, Mr. Tushi, because I think at the same time Microsoft have recognized that what their neighbors are doing, right, in terms of Sony and Nintendo, right, because Nintendo also produce single player campaign games and are investing in studios like the Initiative, right, or the lack of initiative, I should say, and producing single player campaign games, as well as Fable, which I'm assuming will also be a single player campaign game, as will what's the game coming from? Hellblade 2, is it from Ninja Theory? So I think all three companies are looking at what their neighbors are doing and the mistakes that they've made, and looking at and saying, look, how can we turn this into an opportunity to make more profit? Because at the end of the day, Microsoft right now, people are looking at them, but they're in complete and utter investment mode, right? And at some point they'll turn that around and say, look, this is where we start to turn a profit. And Sony at the same time are saying, look, you know what? We've not really ever, been serious about charging, for skins and loads of microtransactions. I say that, and then the GT7 releases to an abysmal reception. So I think, as I say, I think you can learn a lot from your neighbor, and then it's just a case of timing, because games take a hell of a lot of time to develop, and then it's sometimes like trying to change the nature of what you produce in terms of a company and so on and so forth, especially in the video games industry, is like trying to turn an oil tanker. It's not even a ship or a dinghy off a Southend pier. But, I'm rambling again, so I'm just gonna.
I can see him switching around though. I can saying like 5 years time, Xbox probably produce more single player and PlayStation being a lot of multiplayers and stuff, and
to bring about a balance within their portfolios.
Hopefully they both balance out really well. They should do, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, look, the full disclosure, because my wife, has, bless her soul, was kind enough to purchase me a PS5 for me. I got it on Saturday. I was never ever going to give GameStop over here $900 for MLB baseball, a charger, a dodgy controller, and some other dodgy game, and rip me off. So I managed to get one off of Sony direct, and at regular retail price. And she also getting me a PlayStation Plus Extra for $100 a year, but it's got like 5 or 6 games on there I desperately want to play, so it's absolutely worth it for me. So just full disclosure, so when I speak now, I'll be speaking about with a bit more experience with the PlayStation going forward. And so far the setup process, the app on her phone, because I don't even have a phone, and installing the app and just playing Astrobot and trying out the new controller, and I got Final Fantasy VII Remake and the episode, the intermission with Yuffie and so on and so forth, all ready to play. I'm just finishing off Lost Judgment on the Series X, so I'm kind of jumping between both machines. But hopefully going forward, I might be able to give a better or more rounded opinion, right, in regards to both companies.
The issue I have at the moment is like I've got a PS4 Pro. I do want a PS5, but I'm not getting one yet. But the issue I have is when I go, because I'm used to playing games at like 60 to 120 and higher on PC.
Yeah.
When you go on the PS4, they feel rough as hell. It's the performance wise, and part of me feels like I'm just going to wait, not touch my games now until I get a PS5. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And you might do really well with that, Mr. Tushi, because by the time you get one, a lot of the games you probably want to play probably be in that service, so you don't have to shell out 70, 60, I don't know what the price is in England now, 50, 60 quid for 10 games, and you might be able to play a lot of them in their service, right, for whatever 60, 70 quid a year.
Yeah, that's what I did for the last generation. I bought a PS4 Pro. I bought a PS4 at launch. I've told that story before because I sold it right at the start of generation, but I bought a PS4 Pro later on, about 3-4 years into the gen, and I just bought, I think it was about 34 games I bought in one, all the games I wanted to play, and I've just been going through them. I've got a bit of a backlog on there, but I've finished most of them.
Mr. Tushi, tell me a game system in the entirety of your living life that you don't have a backlog on.
Don't have a backlog.
You probably have a backlog on every game system you've ever owned.
Even on the Oculus, I've got a backlog of about 12 games.
Okay, that's enough. I can't compete.
Last time I counted, last year, it was 680 across all platforms. So that's between Switch, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And now Oculus on top of that as well. That now, so it's probably over 700 now, at least. But hey, we've got 4 days off in UK now, so we can carry on that backlog.
Yeah, that's true. I'll just do a few shout outs. I've missed a few people. Yeah. Welcome to Darren, aka Draconius, Matty KO. Also, I've seen Pudsey in chat as well. Also, Dragon Wolf, thanks for popping in. Just going down the list. I think that's it so far. But yeah, thanks for joining in, people. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts after the fact, please leave us a 5-star review. If you listen on Spotify after, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps boost the algorithm. But yes, Has anyone else got any thoughts on this? Because everyone seems to have jumped in on this one. Animated Evil.
A little bit, not much. A little bit, not much. Just a little bit, right? So the question was all about
a friendly pest. I missed a friendly pest. Welcome, a friendly pest. Sorry about that, mate. There we go.
You need to get him on here again.
I do. I'm used
to
it. There we go.
So the original question was around new IP and is it a good thing? Okay.
Yeah.
So when these studios are developing a game and it's coming up to finishing time and things like that, they do usually, that I've read, I don't know, that they will usually put a team into a think box and just go and put them in another room and say, right, you're no longer on this team. You 6 or 7 people, whatever, go and think about what's next. While we're finishing this, you do that. Now, new IP is a good thing, a very good thing. However, a lot of new IPs fail because we don't feel the love for it. Look at, there's just so many to think of. I mean, Brutal Legend could have done a lot more, right? Okay, not a failed IP made. Rise, that was. Do you know what? That was a new IP that did well, but didn't carry on. So, for all the great new IPs that are going to be, there's going to be failed IPs.
Yeah,
back in the day, I remember lots of games, at least 2 or 3 gens ago, that I just can't think of the names of them at the moment. Where you think, yeah, that was quite a good game. I've never seen it again. There was one where you had like a funny claw hand and you used to swing. I can't remember the name of that. That was on the 360, I believe.
Sure, that's not one of your pornos.
Oh my god!
No need, dude. No need. Not now. Beyond Good and Evil was an absolutely amazing IP that everybody wanted. Never got a new one. Never got a number 2.
Animated, was that supposed to have a sequel? I don't remember now. Was that supposed to have a sequel or just
Beyond Good and Evil?
Threatened to.
Yes, because of how popular it was back in the day. Yes, it was. They did tease a sequel in, I want to say 2016. Something like E3, it's either 2016, 2018, something like that. They teased a sequel where it was all, and we were all like, "Oh my god, it's coming, it's coming." There's loads of them. I'm sure that there's loads on the drawing board that have just gone, nah.
Yeah.
And there's loads of new IPs we've just never been invested in. Super Lucky's Tale was a new IP. Nobody was interested. So why are we all of a sudden saying let's get these new IPs in? We're not all saying that, but that's
no.
I don't understand why there is news about a company saying we're going to invest more in new IPs. It's not news because guess what? You're doing that anyway.
Yep.
You are doing that anyway behind the scenes. We don't need to know about that. That was the article you shared was from a dubious news fucking outlet. Mm-hmm. It's just they do it anyway. Of course,
what it is animated. It's not really for us because we're wise enough to it, and it's and the media just take advantage of it because they need to fill in content on their virtual space, and typically why they do it is that because the people that invest in these companies, investors are not really gamers. Well, some of them are, most of them aren't. And what it is for them is that when they look at a company, they look at, what's the valuation of the company, and either it's patents or it's intellectual property. So when they hear, an investor hears IP, well, hang on a minute, that's intellectual property, and the PE ratio on that could be phenomenal. So it's like it's more to massage the egos of shareholders to tell them, listen, you're investing in us. We're going to create something. We're not just going to rest on our laurels. The subsequent connotations of saying we're going to create IP has a broader set of connotations to investors more so than say us fans. But you kind of know what I'm saying, right? Animated. Am I making
absolutely. But why is it news? That's the question.
No,
why?
It's not. No. My point is,
why is that news? It's not.
No.
Right?
Then it's not news to me and you or the media outlets, but it is to investors and bankers that 60 or 70 that are making decisions of investing into Sony or etc. And they just have these tick boxes, what they want to hear the company say, right? In terms of, hey, look, we're going to spend this much on, we're going to ship this many units, we're gonna reach this milestone, and we're going to create new. It's just the buzzwords that they need to make sure that they are, reinforcing their relationship with the people that provide them the funds in order to do so. Does that make sense? It's like comfort food to say it'll all be okay. Don't you worry. My
issue comes, VJ. I'm sorry to interrupt. My issue comes, VJ. Right. This has come, right, and this was quoted off Mr. Stubbs, rightly or wrongly. Okay.
Yep.
This has come off a gamer's article, not investors. I don't care what they hear. I don't care what they're told. Right.
Yeah.
Why is this supposed to be gaming news to us? Because it's not. It's not news. No, it's that horrible clickbait kind of thing that say, look what's happening. Look how good Sony are. No, they're doing exactly the same thing that every company is doing.
I'm with you because it's just lazy. It's just lazy journalism when there's nothing else to talk about, right? We know, right?
I know.
But I just wanted to say something. Is that as much
this stuff did come off the investor call, by the way.
Yeah, well, there you go. So my there you go, Stubbs. Sorry, I apologize. Well, I don't. Anyway, it does. Anyway, what I wanted to say, as much as I would look, this is just from, again, this is a completely subjective viewpoint. So, no pun intended. As much as I would love another Uncharted, a Ghost of Tsushima, or a Days Gone 2, and I've always pined for a new Siphon filter. I then kind of sit back and think, okay, if this was me investing in Sony, I'm kind of arguing with myself, is that, you know what, as much as I would want them, but would they really do well as a sequel, or do I want to invest in making another sequel, or really was it one and done? Well, not in case of Siphon Filter and Uncharted, but Ghost of Tsushima and Days Gone 2, I'm just thinking, do we really need sequels for those two? I don't know if they're in production or not. So I guess, again, as Meisuko was saying, it's just, or was it Mr. Tushi? I do apologize. It's just to find that balance, right, between tried and tested, a wide variety of genres, and also a couple of licensed projects if possible, and also creating something new and fresh. And if you've just got that balance and you've got that stable of content, especially for Game Pass, for a service that you're trying to appeal to a huge audience beyond just, your typical console gamers that have 568 games that haven't played Mr. Tushi, but have bought them in the first place. So yeah, I think Sony, have been accused in the past of being very narrow-minded in terms of a captivated audience and keep selling them boxes and games. And I think they themselves know that, given the aggression of Microsoft and how they're investing and the diversity of portfolio that they're thriving for, that they are going to have to do the same, because no one really knows, in 10 years' time exactly how we're going to be consuming games. Some people say there may not even be in a box. Some people may say, be a PC master race and that's it. And some others may say, we'll just be streaming stuff directly to our brains, because we'll have a chip insert, behind our left earlobe. I don't know, but you can understand, is having a nice, diverse, a plethora of content is probably wise at this stage. And I think Netflix are finding that as well, especially with Amazon and Disney and Hulu, breathing down their necks. So anyway, that's just my layman's take on the whole thing.
That's fine. I agree. It's just this whole we need new IPs thing, and then we don't invest in those new IPs because IPs are launching all the time. And you know what? Because it's not something we've seen before, we can't be asked to buy it, we can't be asked to play it, and that's where they fail. And how it's news, don't know. That's just, my 2 cents. And I think, to be fair, Mr. Stubbs, we should move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Yeah,
the topic it was. Which one? So, Here's what isn't really news. It's just I just wanted to chat at the panel. So when you started, obviously, because I've obviously transitioned in what kind of gamer. I used to be a multiplayer gamer. I'm mainly a single player gamer now. Yeah, I am. I just wondered if any of you guys have changed your gaming habits from what you would have done. Like, I used to be really big. I used to play Call of Duty multiplayer, mate. Never used to hardly touched it at the campaign. I used to play Gears of War a lot. I don't play it that much anymore. And the transition to single player, I just wondered if the panel's habits have changed over the years to present day. Meisuko, have you always been a single player gamer, or do you play?
Yeah, mostly have been a single player gamer, and I would say like in the early days of multiplayer gaming, like in the 90s when the Quake and Unreal Tournament and this kind of arena shooters were all the big games then. So I used to play those, but you have to be pretty fast with those games. And for me, I have had like phases in my gaming history. Like when I started, I used to play a lot of those adventure games, the LucasArts games, and I also used to play a lot of fight games. No, I used to play a lot of those World War II fighter playing games and jet fighting games and that kind of things. But then I think like the longest phase that I had, I was playing like strategic games like the Civilization games and Total War series. I was playing them for way too many hours and way too little sleep. Very, very addictive games for me. And I would say like only like, let's say, when Steam started to become a bigger thing, and it bring out this vast array of different kind of genres and different types of games, that I really started to see how wide the gaming market is, and the indies were starting to become a big thing then. So after that, I think my gaming view become much more broader, and I think most of us in the panel is now like we like to play all sorts of genres and try whatever new is in Game Pass, and I think that's a really great thing, and I am happy that the kids nowadays have the chance of just paying for the subscription and playing all sorts of games. I think it's really good.
Definitely is. It's the thing. I would love to a subscription service when I was younger, because you only used to get one game, didn't you?
Yeah,
you could only afford a couple of games, couldn't you? Or a game. But yeah, you are right. Some good opinions there, Meisuko. You've done well for talking this episode. Are we up to 72 minutes of Meisuko talking so far?
No, he's got another hour.
It's we're at 60-40, VJ speaking 60, Meisuko speaking 40. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Meisuko,
yeah.
Meisuko, imagine if you had Game Pass as a kid.
Yeah.
Back
It would
in the
have
day.
been crazy. It would have been so crazy.
It'd be like having blockbusters in your bedroom, wouldn't it? So you can just walk over and grab something off the shelf.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
The top shelf, right? The top shelf.
The lighty
There's a time and place for that.
The lighty lads just put, I'll probably join so I can scream like a girl when Xbox gets Street Fighter 6 marketing rights.
I just want to be in the same room as him when it says it's PlayStation exclusive.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I do think you're looking at that.
Street Fighter 6, PlayStation exclusive.
But to be fair, though, Capcom Capcom doesn't need the financial backing of PlayStation anymore. Yep. They don't need it. So if they lock it down, that's probably something to do with their Evo League they have.
Well, let's be honest, though. It depends on how much. Because, Capcom are doing okay. It depends how much. I know we're going a little bit sidetracked right now, but that's fine. So
that's how Midweek Gaming rolls.
The thing is, right, PlayStation, with their buyout of Bungie, are doing this. Hey, hello, we're here. We are buying things. We have got money to spend. That's what the Bungie thing was, right? Just because they bought Bungie, right? They paid, what was it? It was it
about 3.6 billion or something like that. 3.6 something around there.
Yeah, it was a big purchase. So they did that because all these big companies, obviously, Xbox via Microsoft, Tencent, they're all saying, "Look, we're buying these things." That was PlayStation's version of saying, "Whoa, don't forget about us. Look how many users we've got." And that's that. I mean, I don't doubt. The like the lad says in the comments, "You'll eat my words." I won't eat my words. I do not doubt, right? That obviously they've locked down Final Fantasy. Of course they have, and I don't doubt that they have locked down fucking Street Fighter. I don't doubt it because they have this money to spend, dude. They have this money to spend, and they need to start doing something because they can't compete with the biggest boys. They can't compete with Tencent. They can't compete with Apple. They were never going to buy EA, right? Never even in the running. EA is like 43 billion, something like that.
Anyway,
PlayStation sat in the bushes going, "Well, what can we do? What can we fucking afford to buy?" That's what they're doing. And don't get me wrong, it's not a good thing for having a game locked down. This is why I don't think we're ever going to get Final Fantasy fucking 7 remake on Xbox, which I'm annoyed at. We're never going to get that. But I do think the Street Fighter is going straight to PlayStation, and it's going to stay there. They're going to flash the cash.
Well, they might as well take the Mortal Kombat IP and just call it the fighter box.
Well, sorry, I went a little bit off.
No,
Jim Ryan's words: 300 million to spend, and we're looking to buy an unorganic growth to help achieve the direction they are going. Yeah, 300 million on what? They said 300 million.
It was very
on their existing stuff. It's very vague. Is it 300 million more that they're already spending? Is it just 3? Because they're already spending probably 3 times that. BMG, we've had this discussion. They're just adding 300 million. They're not saying here's 300 million. They're adding to what they're already spending. And Final Fantasy VII isn't coming on Game Pass. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Dragon Wolf. I truly believe that Sony have locked all the Final Fantasy games.
Yes, because
Dragon's trolling.
Yeah, they're gonna keep paying, saying we got the next version. Okay, we'll pay this much for the next version. It's not going over to Xbox. That's exactly what they're going to keep doing.
But didn't Capcom regret putting Street Fighter 5 on exclusive? I know PlayStation funded it, but it didn't do very well, did it?
Not compared to Mortal Kombat, no.
I don't think it did. But I think we're in a different. I think we're in a different era right now than when Street Fighter 5 came out, because they have that thing on lockdown, that fighter thing that they bought on lockdown, the Evo, whatever it's called. Yeah,
Evo.
Yeah, they've locked that down, so they could use that as a bargaining chip. Do you know what? We give it to us exclusive. We'll give you this much money, and all the esports on this game will run through Evo for you. That's a hell of a bargaining chip, isn't it? let's be fair, it's a hell of a bargaining chip because it's one of the biggest esports fighting genres that's out there. And I know I've gone off topic, but sorry. Just answering the chat. I'm answering the chat. That's all I did.
What about Animated Evil? How was your this kind of gaming history? Like, which game genre did you start, and how did it go by the years?
Okay. Meisuko being the ever professional,
he's
bringing me
track.
straight back on topic. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well
Meisuko, I take a bow. I doff my imaginary cap, sir. Well done. Yes. So, do you know what? The stuff I've played has evolved over the years because I've always... I never liked the first-person shooter. I never did until a friend lent me one of the Call of Duties on 360. Then I got involved in the first-person shooter with multiplayer and blah, blah, blah. Now I can just not really interested. With the reviews I do on Game Pass, I'm finding myself just finding those little gems now and again that I wouldn't play. I've always loved the point and click, and there's some of those little games in there. And if you've never played Deponia, please play it. It's a lovely point and click adventure like Broken Sword, but with real hilariousy mixed in. I don't know really. It changes there and thereabouts. It does. It changes into what my friends are playing, because sometimes I just want to be left alone. All right, just leave me be. I'm happy with my single player. Don't send me a message. And I like my third person single player things. I mean, back in the day, Tomb Raider was my thing. Assassin's Creed is definitely my thing. But when I've got friends online, it drags me into these games that I've never played before. So I play the first person shooters. I play things like Sea of Thieves. I'm pointing at him down there. It all depends on the mood these days. But most of my stuff is now multiplayer, whereas it never used to be. But that's just because of the people I surround myself with, because they are absolutely amazing. Except him, he's a dick. Don't play with him. He's horrible. I hope that answers your question, Meisuko. It really does.
That answers very well, and I think that's a very, very, very good point that you bring out. Like as a PC gamer, most of the games that I remember from the very beginning, they were like first person view games, like pretty much everything. Like even the role playing games, they were like dungeon crawlers from the eyes of yourself and going through the dungeons. And on the console sides, you were showing more of the characters themselves from a third person view, and I think that's why it has been always natural for me, this first person view, and that I really enjoy it, and I never felt the motion sickness or these kind of things that some people feel when they are playing first person games. So really, really, really great point bringing out. So now I'm dying to hear how is Tushi's gaming history.
Oh, well done.
Right, where do I start? Obviously, from our generation of gaming, we could only play with single player games pretty much. So that's what pretty much everything was. I was more into playing on my own all the way till I was really late to multiplayer. It was about 2008 or maybe 2010. I bought Xbox Live Gold for the first time and tried Test Drive Unlimited as a multiplayer. And I tell you, I've never experienced something in my life. It's absolutely amazing fun. But since that day, I tend to prefer multiplayer games, but I do enjoy, like Animated said, sometimes I put myself offline. I just play a single player game. And I do it quite often, even though I'm on online multiplayer game most of the time. But like, I think it just depends on your mood. I think sometimes I feel like playing a like a little indie game or something. I enjoy playing them, and then like I'm playing that Trek to Yomi. Is it called Trek to Yomi?
Yes.
Yomi.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to finish that. That's really good. That is. But sometimes I like playing Call of Duty. It's just, but I end up getting too hyped. Can't get to sleep, and nothing left could come off that game.
You know Tushi, the funny thing that I remember that the first Xbox live game that I played was like Forza Motorsports 2, and I logged in, and I think I was like thrown into UK servers. So my first experience is like this kind of Scottish guys like swearing like sailors on the microphone and just decimating me on the track.
Did they swear like people on community game night? Is that what you're saying?
They weren't Highlander, was it?
Yes.
Do you reckon it was Highlander playing on Motorsport back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it was weird because like because most of the 360 gen I was kind of weird. All I played was Call of Duty campaigns and like Need for Speed games, stuff like that. I just play them continuously. I never really branched out much on many games. But then like as soon as I tried that multiplayer on, I think it was amazing that I just seen loads of people doing car meets and stuff and doing cruises together, and you could hear everyone talking. It was fucking brilliant. It's opened my eyes because I was a bit behind on gaming back in on 360 gen.
Yeah, we even made like this kind of like on the Forza Motorsport 2. we made like this kind of Finnish championship league that we played like every weekend, and at the end get the winner of the for this competition. So it was really fun time and great multiplayer experience. Like in general, only the first experience was pretty wild.
As Indie Gamers mentioned about Rabsy Nesbitt in is a gamer. I can't remember who I was talking to now, saying that because Highlander, I reckon he sounds like Rabsy Nesbitt when he gets going. It was a conversation we had the other day. It's quite weird that name's come up again.
Who sounds like Rabsy Nesbitt when he starts?
Highlander. You know, he's going. He's a bit drunk. And he gets going.
Yeah, when he's away with it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm going a bit off topic here. I believe it's VJ's turn.
I don't even know what the question is. I'm completely lost now.
Where do you venture between like single player, multiplayer, and?
I don't know. You know what? If anyone had ever said to me, "You're going to get an Xbox Series X and you're going to spend 18 months just playing, games off a buffet system," I'd have said, "No, you're kidding." But that's exactly what happened. And then what? And I think was it December? God, time flies so quick. Since February, I bought 6 games, and I haven't really played in Game Pass at all. And it was something Mag said on Primetime Gaming last week that it's just currently not for him. And I really enjoyed the value that Game Pass has brought me in terms of subscription service. And then recently I kind of I bought a PS5 because it was offered to me by Sony, and my wife was really nice to get a hold of it for me. And as Animated said, right, he knows I love Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy games. I talk about it all the time, but I really want to play God of War Ragnarok. I've been playing all the God of Wars over and over again since 2005, and then Persona 5 Royale is another game I thought might come to Game Pass. Hasn't made it, and Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which I've actually got. I've got the game, but I'm able to play it now. And because again, I don't know if it's going to come to Game Pass. For me, it's a case of what I'm finding is that I've always owned multiple systems, but until I moved to the US, I ended up giving everything away, and then I ended up with I didn't have a games console when I got here, so. So I think I fundamentally go where the content is, whether it, other than PC, I won't know where to start on the PC, but whether it's the Nintendo Switch, and if a new what is it, a new Switch console launches simultaneously with Breath of the Wild 2, which seems like the right move for Nintendo. Whether they do it or not, I don't know. I guess they'll know the benefits of that or not. Then far better position to do so. But I kind of finding myself that I just go where the content is in terms of what systems I play on and whether it's single player or multiplayer. I did play multiplayer, Mr. Tushi, and I tell you what, I wasn't very good at it, but my internet speed's jumped up by about 5 times. So I don't, because we're always playing on. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Tushi. Do we play on British servers, and then maybe that's a disadvantage for me over here in the States with a really low connection? I don't know how the latency and all that. So because every time I press shoot, I'm sure it takes about 13 seconds for my bullet to actually come out of the barrel. So
it takes me longer than that these days.
Hey?
I said it takes me longer than that these days. Sorry.
Well, I don't know. I think you struggle to raise a smile these days, let alone anything else. But
somebody bust a nut.
That's not really fair. Like if everybody else have a assault rifle and Vijay has a musket.
Yeah, I don't even have. I have a musket that backfires, Meisuko.
The problem is VJ predates the musket. That's the problem.
Yeah, probably. In my mind, I think I do. Yeah, you actually might be onto something there. My mind does. I do actually like all the looking at stuff from centuries ago. I don't know why. I just got penance for it. But yeah. So I like all different types of games. I mean, with the first topic, what do we cover? All those games back from the arcades, and the NES, the SNES, the Mega Drive. So what did I find myself playing today? There was some sort of rewards thing. I ended up spending half an hour playing what was it, Pac-Man. So
Pac-Man arcade.
Yeah. There was some sort of rewards, 500 points for playing Pac-Man and getting an achievement and all that sort of stuff. So I do enjoy that about Game Pass and so on and so forth, being able to have access to those games, yeah, it's good. So, but again, the PS5 is not because I have to be a Sony fan. I really appreciate everything that Sony's done for the industry, though, over the last 20 odd years. Right, there's something to be said for that, and Nintendo for that matter, and Sega, and so on and so forth. But for me, it's just a case of I really enjoy certain content. What was that game animated that we were talking about a while back? The 2D game, Octopath Traveler. Do you remember that?
Yes, Octopath Traveler, absolutely. Yeah. And I don't have a PC. I think I'm 105 hours into there and nowhere near finished. Yeah. Got to go back to it.
But the point I was trying to make is the fact that I didn't want to play it on Switch. I wanted to play it on the big screen, and by some miracle, I don't know how Microsoft wrangled that deal to get that into Game Pass, and it's not on any other system other than Switch. I think it is, maybe PC. I don't know, but it was a brilliant surprise, and I love those kind of games. And I really want to play Triangle Strategy. I know it's on the Nintendo Switch, but I may get that. I may get that at some point. Maybe on the new Switch. Hopefully I'll have enhanced performance, etc. It may come to Game Pass again. So for me, it's all about the content that I like to play, and I do like to play new games and try different stuff other than Ender Lilies, which I know Indie Gamer now is going to slate me for. It really doesn't matter what console or device or system or cabinet it's on. So yeah.
Vijay, since nowadays you like RPGs a lot,
yeah.
Did you start also with RPGs or some other game genre?
I don't know. I know people may laugh at this, but I think when the Master System came out, it might have come bundled with Alex the Kid. Yeah, and
Miracle World.
I know it. Yeah, that's right. And it's not an RPG. But it felt like an action RPG. And then the upgrade to that was it Monster Boy? Was it Monster Boy in Wonderland?
Monster World.
Monster World. Yeah, and
something like that. Monster Boy Wonderland, yeah.
Yeah, not the one where he's on the starts off on the in a Tarzan outfit on a skateboard. I think it was a sequel or the one after that where he's like fighting dragons and sphinxes and all that sort of stuff. So, and I just love those Meisuko. You so often send me some screenshots of some really strange dialogues in video games, which makes me burst out laughing. So. So I've always liked action adventure games, whether they're full on RPGs but I don't know if you would like the Yakuza series. It's an RPG action adventure. It's like a mixture of everything. Sorry,
amazing series.
Yeah, so Meisuko, I think for me, and then Hollow Knight, which I didn't think I was going to enjoy. I didn't like the visual style when I first saw it. I only played it because Indie Gamer told me to. But I think it goes back to our first topic, which was talking about music. So I think visual design, and I think music, level design, animations, just all the facets that make a great game. And I think the reason why I didn't sort of take Hollow Knight on board or it didn't catch my eye, it may have been because I watched the trailer, and the initial trailer that I may have seen was just very much set in Dirtmouth, and I didn't realize all the other locations. I don't know if you've played a bit of Hollow Knight Meisuko, and then the soundtrack, yes. Right? It's it haunts me in a great way, that soundtrack that they created for Hollow Knight, and it's a fantastic game. And I know Animated just said he's 105 hours in Octopath Traveler. Yeah, I've got something like 150 in Hollow Knight, and I was shocked because some of the bosses in that game are phenomenally difficult, and I thought that all my eye and hand coordination and my reflexes had died about 10 years ago, but somehow my superpowers came back to me, and I was able to get about 108% in that game, which it's daunting to think that I might have to go back and do it again. So that's why I'm really hoping that Silksong comes out as soon as possible. Does that answer your question? I hope it does. If not,
definitely.
Sounds great.
Really nice.
It does.
So now it's only Stubbs that has to tell the how did StubzGaming start and where it's now.
I just wanted to say, Meisuko, just before I just want to say it's really nice of you, StubzGaming, to join us on the show. We really appreciate having you on as a guest. Welcome.
Yeah, you've done a fantastic you've done a fantastic job, Meisuko, hosting. So he's been asked a question of how things are going and things like that, and he's left and he's just gone, no. He's gone to research his answer, I think.
You've done a great job hosting, Meisuko. Thanks. You've done a great job, Job. I get sidetracked so easy. I do. But no, I used to, gaming-wise, it used to be single player mainly. In the 360 era, it used to be multiplayer. So my memory's terrible. I used to play the Mega Drive, Sonic, etc., or retro. Dreamcast, used to play all that, and a single player, really. I did play the first multiplayer game I played was on Dreamcast. It was a tennis game, Quake. Yeah, I thought that was revolutionary. Playing against people online, I thought that was amazing on text chat. And then mainly single player games right through till the 360. I didn't have the original Xbox. And then it was multiplayer games mainly. Call of Duty multiplayer. Gears of War, not so much Gears of War multiplayer, because although I like Gears, it scared me because I was a bit younger then, and Gears was quite, how would you put it? Gears is quite toxic. The players can be quite. If you're not like MLG Pro or some kind of professional level gamer, you get messages. So I didn't use to play online. I used to play the Horde mode instead. But I can play the multiplayer nowadays when I want to play it. But yeah, so nowadays I'm more single player gamer. I am. As Tushi says, I've turned into a PlayStation hermit.
You had the old systems back in the day though, didn't you, Stubbs?
What's that?
You had old systems back in the day, right? Older than obviously 360 and stuff like that. Yeah. So what did you play back in the day? Because we were all forced into single player back in the day. What did you play originally? What kind of games did you play then? I'm interested.
Yeah,
Tiddlywinks, hopscotch.
my memory's gone.
Down Ginger.
Yeah, my memory's a bit crap. That's the problem.
Kiss Chase.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd have to try and think of that.
I reckon he had stayed. He just doesn't want to admit it.
Mr. Tushi was telling me some game about a biscuit, but I wasn't quite sure what he was trying to explain to me.
Yeah, my memory's a bit crap, to be honest.
You know about the soggy one, VJ?
Mr. Tushi, I don't know. But whenever you jump into a conversation, it's like it always becomes X-rated. I don't know if Animated can attest to that or not.
Yeah,
that's why all the podcasts have always been marked explicit.
Do you know what, Stubbs? The weird thing is, okay, so I have a really good memory for games and stuff. So I started playing. Yeah. I started playing games in. I'm old, people. You can tell by the grey in the beard. I started playing games in 1986. I can remember my first game and the games that formed me and stuff like that, and all that kind of thing. You can't remember some of the old games you played before the PlayStation or the Xbox. Really? Come on, your memory can't be that bad. You must remember where you started off gaming-wise.
Sonic, Road Rash, games like that.
Oh, Road Rash. Road Rash was such a good game.
Have you played it recently?
No.
Oh, my God. It was about 5 frames per second. It's fucking horrible.
Of course, they all were. They all were, really. Let's be fair. They all play horrible these days.
I can take it. I still played the Mega Drive. I do.
I played Road Rash. I'd love to play that again. And then I downloaded the emulator and played it on there. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. But it's you can still see the nostalgia there when you play it. It's still enjoyable in another sense.
I used to love Desert Strike. I could never get enough of Desert Strike.
What was the other one? Is it Jungle Strike?
Jungle Strike, yeah.
Is that the one with the helicopter across? Yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely, yes.
Imagine a new one like that.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not being funny, but the controls and EA were in their pomp that time, not just with that, but PGA Golf had me hooked. NHL Hockey was just, honestly, I remember fighting over the controller for that game. And
I've still got that. NHL 95.
I would like to invite all in chat to try all these games we're mentioning and see how badly we were treated back in the day. Yeah, don't you dare talk about loading times in this chat. Not allowed. Because we knew 45-minute loading times because we had to play off cassette. Cassette. If you don't know what a cassette is, out now.
So yeah, you used to enjoy the Tony Hawks on PlayStation, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, the original GTA where you were down, you could just see the tops of the cars. The original GTAs. I'm gonna have to look up this. I'll tell you
what. You mentioned GTA. And whenever I used to play GTA, back in the day, I don't know if you guys ever played a game from Taito, and I just put so much money into Chase HQ in the arcades.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, that was. Sorry, I didn't mean.
Doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't ring a bell. That one does not ring a bell, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was just like you're. Are you the policeman? Yeah, you are, right? And you're chasing. Yeah, you're in like a covert police car, right? And you're chasing down. Villains, and I just love that game. Hard Driving was another one I really enjoyed in the arcades.
Welcome to Redders TV. Thanks for popping in, mate.
Redders, hello.
Hey yo.
Redders is awesome. I'm going to say hello, mate. It's the first time I've said it. First time I've said this episode. First time I've said it, but there you go.
Anime, you make it sound Australian.
Redders gets it.
Is he Australian?
No. It's just me going, hello, mate.
Yeah, I know. You're attempting an Australian accent there.
I'm not. It's fine. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look.
By the way, all of you guys had Sega consoles. So I have heard later while watching videos on YouTube that Sega had one of the most of the best beat 'em up games. So did you guys play those back in the day?
Sorry, which game? Flicky
yes.
on the Mega Drive.
A beat 'em up.
Can I just speak about one? I had one of them. The likely lad, he hates it when I talk about it. It's called Eternal Champions. I used to fucking love that game, but he said he used to hate it. It was horrible, terrible. It was like a knockoff, if you know what I mean. But
yeah,
I used to play that with mates all the time, you know.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Stubbs, but I've got to go. I didn't realise the time. I've actually got something I've got to do. So would it be okay if I leave the show?
No, of course, VJ. Thanks for popping on.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Let's have your outro first, though, dude. Before you leave, because you will leave without doing it. Let's have your outro first. Where can people find you?
Nowhere really. I just like being invited onto the shows and having a chat occasionally. I've got nothing to sell other than cans of tin.
It's just the same thing on Boom's show.
I know. What one day I'll get him. He will tell us where we find him.
Los Angeles. I'm in Greater Los Angeles.
We know, but we're not going to tell. So,
but I'm going to try and join in on Saturday if I can. So if you guys are doing a community game nights, I'm going to try and see if my internet improves my gaming performance. It probably won't, but I'll try. And Meisuko, I'd love to see you there, and you, Stubbs-san. So yeah, my outro is go for community gaming night.
I was actually thinking about having a rest this weekend.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, great. Good timing, VJ.
Yeah,
I'm unfortunate this weekend. I'm not going to be there again. Last weekend, I was
shame. I tell you what, I was going to come this weekend.
Talk about consistency.
Of course, you fucking were, Stubbs. Of course, you were. Every time we say we're not there this week, and I was gonna come. No. So this week,
you do gigs, I don't turn up.
This week, I'm performing to the Australian audience. I'm doing a thing with Spooky Sprocket on Saturday night. So
there you go.
I can't go there on this weekend. So it depends on if Mr. Tush is doing one or not.
Yeah, no worries. One night I will definitely try and come on and see if I get on with it and whatnot, and if time allows and so on and so forth. But anyway, Meisuko, it was great to have you on. Please come back again soon. You've been a fantastic host, and Mr. Stubbs, you've been a great guest. And see you all next week.
Yeah,
bye.
See you soon, VJ.
And then there was 4. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get my memory back. I am, but yeah, Sega was my first. Indie Game was asking me, and to my knowledge, for Indie Gamer, my first console was the Sega Mega Drive. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I do remember also playing the Commodore 64. So I'm not entirely sure which one. I don't know whether I played that years after.
Oh my!
I don't know. I'm terrible.
So my first, I'm going to say my first, right, was the Atari 800 XL, which was the first Atari with a full keyboard and the cartridge at the back. And I had that in either 1986 or 1987. I can't remember which year because I was either 5 or 6. And that's how long I've had what I call a digital babysitter. That's all these devices are, right? That's why my parents bought them, to look after me while they didn't want to. Yeah? Tushi's is about as old. Meisuko did PC in...
the beginning of 90s. Yeah.
Early 90s.
Mm.
Oh, he's like a little child. Early 90s. Yeah, it was 1986. But there's people in the chat, I'm going to say Dragon Wolf, Likely Lad, all of these guys started playing games early 80s, 90s. We've gone through these games and just... Redders TV says my first was a Commodore 64, then on to NES and Mega Drive. Do you know what? Commodore 64. Like a lad. 1984. Jesus Christ. Look at this. Tushi's got his...
still got it.
Tushi's still got his games. So Dragon Wolf is saying his earliest memories are 1979/1980.
Oh, I was only born in 1984, Dragon Wolf.
And you know what? Dragon Wolf was about 21 at that time, so that's fine.
Can I just...
Those are for you, Dragon Wolf. Those are for you. I love you, dude.
I'm going to show you 2 more games that I used to love as a kid.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
This was one of them on the Master System.
Oh, I played
I
that.
remember that
Sega
one.
Master System. Here we go.
That was fucking brilliant. That was. I don't remember this cheesy one. This is worth a lot of money now. You know. Remember this?
Yeah. No.
You had to go around saving babies, attacking people, saving babies from like fucking car boots and stuff, and it's pretty weird. But I used to enjoy them back in the day. I've still got loads of shit I have. Indie Gamer remembers it.
I think I played that. People are realising how bad my memory is. Really bad.
Yeah. One from the old days. Remember the smell of the books? Smells like fucking onions.
I reckon Animated Evil has disappeared to find something. I don't know.
He's gone into his cupboard and got some old classics out. You watch.
I've got Tomb Raider on Dreamcast. I've got.
Hang on. I'll be right back.
What else I've got? Should we end the show, guys? So that they come back and there's no one there. They both disappeared. They're trying to outdo each other. They are. But yeah, thanks for stopping in, everyone. It's been a fun show. Thanks for hosting, Meisuko. Doing a great job. Meisuko's launching. He's launching a podcast soon. Don't worry.
Who is?
I was joking, but I think he'd make a great podcast host. You definitely would, wouldn't you, Meisuko?
Meisuko's starting one.
No, I'm just saying he makes a good. He does a good job.
Oh,
I do.
Here you go. What's he got? What's he got? What's he got with him?
He's got something. He's got something.
I've got one thing to show. When I moved house, I found one game in my house. When I moved, I didn't realise I had, because I sold all my physical games and bought them all digital. But I got this one still. Look.
Oh, really?
70 quid back in the day.
70 quid. But that's got two games there.
I do want to ask Meisuko a question, to be fair, if while we're here, because the majority of the audience for sure is either US or the UK, right? Agreed. Yeah. Well, yeah. Whereas Meisuko doesn't come from deep as dark as Peru, but he's all the way over there in Finland, right?
Yep.
So the question, not from deep as dark as Peru, like we all thought, but from all the way out there in Finland. So when you were a kid, then, because obviously games were a massive influence on us as a kid. Were they readily available to you as a young child and things like that? Or because you know what you said, you started on PC, you didn't have you didn't have a Master System, but you had friends that had them. Were they like readily available and just cheap? Because games are quite expensive in your country, right?
Yeah. Back in the day, they were crazy expensive, and they weren't readily available. I think like it was mainly this kind of PC shops, like who were selling the systems, and you could buy games from there. And they came in these massive boxes, and they are pretty much like cardboard games nowadays. The traditional ones, these kind of big, huge boxes, and It wasn't very popular back then. Not a big hobby, I would say, because you have to understand that like even nowadays most games are not in Finnish. It's very rare that you can find the Finnish subtitles in games. Like back in the day, I was playing like Monkey Island. I had a really old English to Finnish dictionary when I was going through the game and checking what is whatever meaning. So it was also good learning that way. Learn English at the same time while playing games.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, right? The weird thing is that games were so prolific back in when we were kids, right? That I could go to the local shop, just the local corner shop that sells everything. All you mean is everything, right? And I could go, and there'd be a rack. There'd be a rack in the store where I could choose a cassette what I wanted to buy for £1.99 for my Spectrum 128K. It'd be something like a game like Flicky or something, but it'd be there on a cassette. I could go to the shop, a couple of quid, and go, yeah, I want to buy that. Anybody else have that? Sure, you did, Tushi. Paper shops back in the day where you could select your Spectrum games off a rack. Surely.
You're older than me.
No. What? By about 3 years, dickhead. Come on. I might be older. You're bolder. Fuck you.
When I was younger, in my local town, they had a game called Foster's, and it was like a second-hand PC game seller. It was like a second-hand market, just all PC games. You know, with the massive boxes you had back in the day. But I never used to see any Spectrum stuff and Ataris and that. None of that stuff about when I was younger. I think I was probably concentrating more on like Mega Drive and Master System games. Probably. I've got that.
No, that's a classic. I remember that now. Yes, I remember that one.
You remember that on the Dreamcast? Does everybody remember that on the Dreamcast?
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
reckon I'm going to have to rebuy that then from the Dreamcast. I reckon that was a good one, that was.
Look at that. Look at that. Original Dreamcast. There we go. Ready to rumble boxing.
And mate, when you come over mine in September, I might have to let you have a free pick and mix out of your game box.
Sounds like a plan. Pick and mix. Although there is one game that I did forget about until last week. I didn't remember it existed. Right? And on the Dreamcast, it was probably my most played game, right? You know, I like a racer.
Mine was Le Mans.
Can you remember any racing games on the Dreamcast?
Sega GT. Yeah, it's shit. It was MSR. That was Xbox, wasn't it? MSR, Metropolitan Street Racer. You had Toka Race Driver back then, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually forgot about this. It's a very arcade racer, right? Ridge Racer. Darren's saying Ridge Racer. However, right, I forgot about this, and it was so much fucking fun. I do have a Dreamcast that I want to hook up and play this game again.
Rally.
Did anybody else play this?
I've got that. Yeah.
Yeah. I had actually forgotten that game existed. Let's put it up.
Speed Devils. Did you ever have Legends of Speed or something? It's like the old, like 1930s cars and stuff.
No, I don't think so.
I'll have to go through mine. I've got bloody loads. I've got like Sega Rally and stuff like that.
Sega Rally, I believe.
I've got a couple of collection. I've got a couple of collection editions of Final Fantasy over there, but that's by the by. We're not gonna show them off.
Sega Rally, though, I believe I've got it on Dreamcast, but I believe the better version was on the Sega Saturn. I'm told of that game.
I don't know. What was
Ridge Racer? Hang on, Darren. Ridge Racer, was that on the Dreamcast?
I think it was.
Was it really? I thought it was a PlayStation game.
It might have been. I don't know.
I'm probably wrong. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, one game I used to play quite a lot, the racer on the thingy as well, was Ferrari F355 Challenge. Do you remember that one? Just all racing Ferraris and stuff, and there weren't many cars to choose from. I don't think he's
I
listening.
don't remember that one. Yeah, Ridge Racer was on PlayStation.
Yeah, Ridge Racer launched on the PlayStation 1. It was a PlayStation
Racer.
Ridge Racer.
That was
that was the most beautiful thing on the PlayStation at the time, other than the demo you got with either the dinosaur or the fish thing you could play with. Let's be fair, when we first saw the dinosaur, you could move around, and the it was not a starfish, it was a fucking flat thing. No, dickhead, shut up. Not the fucking starfish. Help me out. The thing that killed Steve Irwin.
Stingray.
Come on. Stingray, thank you. You had a demo disc. You had a demo disc come with the PlayStation 1 that you could use those, and it was amazing that we could move these things around. However, the best game on the PlayStation 1 was True Pinball. And the best
Worms.
No, True Pinball, dude. If you ever played the Vikings table on True Pinball, you would understand. Worms, no. I played Worms, but True Pinball. I'm sure someone's got some video up on YouTube. Look at the Vikings table on True Pinball. I play pinball. What's the new one that's out? The PX3 thing.
I don't know.
Pinball. There's a free-to-play pinball game. It's amazing. It really is good. I spent too much time on it. Really good. Lemmings as well. Oh my god, indie gamer, stop it. But I have never played a pinball table like True Pinball and the Vikings table. I earned like 200-300 million on that. There was me and my brother-in-law back in the day, just competing daily. Just Pinball FX, yes. So Pinball FX3 is really good. I've paid for some tables. They're all good. They're all really good. However, True Pinball, the Viking table, it might have been called Valhalla, to be fair. However, I'm going to see if I can find someone who has gameplay for that and try. I've still got a PlayStation 2. I could play it myself. No, PlayStation 1, sorry. I haven't got a PlayStation 2. I've got a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 3, 2 Dreamcasts. One has to be upside down to play because the disc drive broke. Okay. So it was okay. But other than that, seriously, best pinball game. We've gone well off topic. I've just gone fucking nuts. Sorry.
I think the last pinball game I played was the Sonic Spinball. Remember that on the
that was
Mega
fucking
Drive.
terrible. That's not a pinball game. What the fuck's wrong with what's wrong with you? Oh, chat, tell him how wrong he is. Sonic Spinball isn't a pinball game. If you do like pinball, just play Pinball FX. Right? It's free. There's a few tables for free. You can buy the rest. It's really good. It's the same people that do the pool hall thing we play, the snooker game we play together. It's the same people.
Still need to finish that match.
We do. I did because you're going to kick my ass, and I was bragging about how good I was.
Yeah, just like Tushi kicked my ass at fucking Halo. I didn't stand a chance.
Are you putting the picture up?
I've got to work out. I haven't logged into Twitter yet on this
computer. Of course you haven't. If it was Gears though, straight up, wasn't it? Straight up that weekend. In fact, 2 days later, straight up. I haven't logged into it. There you go. You see, look at him.
Yeah, straight up.
Oh fuck.
I think my screen might be too bright. But
yeah, it's been a fun chat.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quickly about pinball games. Like there is this indie game called Demon's Tilt. So that's like titled like occult pinball action. So if you want to see a really unique looking pinball game, check that game out.
Okay. Nice.
Do you know, when I think back at the old consoles, you know, when I used to think my Dreamcast was my favourite, but the more and more I think about it, I think not the N64 is probably my favourite, you know. Because it was when they first started dipping the toes into 3D and stuff, and the shooters started coming out and stuff. I don't know, it's really weird. It's like I really enjoyed the games.
Fair enough. If that's your favourite console, then that's fair enough. That is.
I really want another one, I do.
Try and find one. You can. Everyone says they're overpriced, but you will be able to find one at a good price. I know retro, since the pandemic, it's gone mental. The prices have gone sky high, and retro sellers are fabricating the prices. They're actually lifting the prices on purpose to make the retro collections worth more. But you should be able to find one at a reasonable price.
Because the problem is
you can buy converters for a lot of these consoles. Companies have actually made converters so you can play them on your new HD 4K TVs. You won't get 4K, but at least you can play it on the TV. It looks slightly better. It does.
Because remember when I gave all my consoles to my cousin and he gave me them all back and all my games and stuff?
Yeah,
last year or so. Well, the only one console I gave to somebody else was the N64, and I gave it to a friend for her son because he used to like playing on the games and stuff, but he was playing on a Master System when the N64 and that was out. Sorry, when the Dreamcast was out. So I gave him my N64, but I think it was about 80 games or something. There's like 2 big duffel bags of games and stuff in there, and I gave him away, but I wish I never know. You know what I mean? I wish I kept it. Hey Dragon, I've tried an emulator, but you know it's just awkward trying to calibrate a controller for the N64.
Yeah, no, emulators.
It's weird.
It's shit. Emulators shouldn't be used. You should use original hardware. That's the best way.
Emulators are fine. It's just
shit.
I'm going to be honest. I do have a friend who collects all sorts of bullshit. He always has and always will. And he's told me he's got unboxed versions of this console, this console, this console, this console, or this whatever. And I've just made him promise. He is going to sell them. I have made him promise to discuss everything with me before he gets rid. Because there's at least 4 or 5 of those things he is going to get rid of that I'm thinking, yeah, let's bring it in. And at that point, these bookshelves are going, and we're getting shelves with fucking the old consoles I used to own. Really, whether he does it or not, I don't know. But he's going, I'm going to sell this. I'm just, dude, talk to me first. Don't sell them before you talk to me. So yeah, I'm looking at getting some really original hardware. We're talking the Commodore 64, the Spectrum 128, and there is something. I think he's got a 3DO as well. So those are the things. Yeah, absolutely. So those are the things I'm like. He goes, well, I've got the old Sega. I'm like, well, no. The older stuff I want, the older pre-adult me. You know what I mean? Just when I was 6, 7, 8, give me those. So we'll see what he's going to sell, but hopefully soon.
Do you know? Still to this day, I've never ever seen in my whole life. I've never seen a Saturn, or I've never seen a Jaguar. Never seen one in the shops. Never played one. I regret it.
I haven't. I'm going to get a Saturn next, I reckon. My retro collection.
Yeah, exactly like that. The 3DO. I mean, I never had the Saturn. Never had that, but I had pretty much most leading up to that.
My problem is because I went from console. I went to PC gaming in '95 up to 2002 or something. I was on PC quite a lot, and then I didn't come on back on console until the N64 came out and stuff. But I missed a lot because I think the last Sega I had, apart from the Dreamcast, was the Mega Drive, which I've got now still.
Yeah,
but I was too young. I couldn't afford a Saturn or Jaguar. I thought about buying one recently, but I keep thinking to myself, will I play it though? It's, if you know what I mean. Because I got the room to have one and set one up and stuff, and I mean, I don't know.
Snap. Anywho, what's next, Stubbs?
Bedtime.
Anything or nothing? Or what?
No.
What's what we're doing?
No, we're going to end it there. I'm going to save the next topic for another show. I am.
Yeah, 2 hours 40 minutes.
Well, 2 hours and 28 minutes, the clock says. On my clock, on the live button.
This is very true, and we have gone off topic a lot. I do apologise.
No,
I was really up for it tonight, and I've just gone with it.
Thanks to the host and the guest, Meisuko. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Stubbs. It has been really fun talking with you guys.
No, it's good to have you on. We'll have to get you back on in the future. Let me know when you're free. I know you.
Yes. Thank you.
Busy.
Thank you a lot.
Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yes. I think most people know me also enough that you can find me on Twitter, meisuko _1984. So I am mostly doing the like art and of course chatting with everybody about games and all sorts of other stuff, whatever people are talking. So it's really great that I have get the chance to meet all of you through Twitter or community game nights and podcast. So I'm really grateful and really happy to have met you all.
Don't make me cry on camera. Don't make me cry on camera. It's no
don't
good.
say stuff like that, Meisuko. I don't know what to say.
Meisuko, one thing I'd love you to experience is you know that Vermilion I've been playing, the one where you got your own. It's an art game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Painting.
Yeah.
I'd love you to try that.
Yeah, it looks super cool. I think Friendly Pest was just commenting on one incredible looking painting on this VR painting that one person had done in Twitter. So
yeah,
I think that software has legs to go as far as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool.
I'm scared to put that Vermilion on because when I pull it on, I sit there because I'm on charge. I put my headset on charge while I'm playing it. I'm sat there for bloody hours, like 6-7 hours sometimes, just painting away at random stuff, and you get lost in it. I do.
Yeah, that's great. That then you are in the zone and you can totally relax.
Mm. The last one I've done was that Banjo-Kazooie. That was good. I enjoyed doing that one.
Yeah. It looks so real how they can emulate the oil painting. It's really cool.
Especially with the viscosity of the paint and stuff, you can make it run and all sorts, and like it works on pressure with your fingers, like when you've got the brush and stuff like that. It's really clever how it's done.
But your missus sees you painting in that VR game, and she's like, "You can fucking paint the kitchen now," and you're like, "Fuck off! I enjoy this more."
Yeah, it doesn't stink.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Pixel Slapper, thanks for popping in. Now you've been lurking, and Boba Fett Gaming, thanks for popping in.
Boba Fett.
Oh, the Boba Fett's in the house.
He is. But yeah, thanks for coming on, Meisuko. It's been good to have you on again. And Tushi, thanks for popping in.
Thanks for having me on. I'm in fucking agony, I am. Even after probably around about this 1,000 calories of food I had before I came on here.
You won't be in pain. You won't be in pain soon. Not what I've seen.
Say again.
You won't be in pain soon. No, you know what I'm referring to. Don't talk about it on here.
I won't. Don't worry.
But yeah, thanks for coming on. It's been good to have you on. It has.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's been fun. I'm glad I could make it today because I've got no work tomorrow. Thank fuck.
I've got no work, but we're going out for the day. We are.
Sod that. I'm sitting at home in my underpants all day.
But yeah, no, thanks for coming on. Do you want to tell people where to find you?
You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter as Mr. Tushi or Mr. Tushi Gaming. That's about it, really. Simple.
I would say promote community game night, but you can not.
I'm having a rest this weekend.
But you're having a break this week, you are. It's a shame though, because I was really going to make an effort to come this week.
Heard that before.
One of my plans this weekend, I'm going to restart. I want to do a second playthrough of Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, it's my brother's playing that on the PS5. He's liking that at the minute. He is.
It's really good. So I'm going to play through it again.
Nice. And thanks for coming on, Animated Evil.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And you know what? I have to do a couple of thanks, really, because the chat has been absolutely on fucking fire tonight. As always, that chat. Do you know what? The chat has made us go off topic so many times tonight. It's really weird. Just by their interaction has made us go absolutely fucking way off. But it's okay. It's good. I also want to thank Meisuko, who's come on today, because me and Meisuko do go way back. He's a massive supporter of everything I do and pretty much everything anyone does within the community. He's the best, one of the best community members you could ever meet. He really is. So, Meisuko, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to hear more of your music, since you are now gearing up.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that the music causes massive fights between me and my neighbours, unfortunately, because I can't keep it quiet. So, well,
I'm not surprised, because when I'm listening to it, I'm thinking like, yeah, this is pretty massive bass drop all the time.
It will come to fisticuffs at one point, and one of us will win, and then, but whatever. My money's on me anyway. So, thank you to Meisuko. Really, great to see Tushi again. Of course. So you can find me, Animated Evil 857 on Twitch and Xbox, Animated_Evil on Twitter and YouTube. And this Saturday, I'm doing a interview with the brilliant Spooky Sprocket. So look out for that. I'm looking forward to doing that. It's going to be brilliant.
That'll be good.
But other than that, yeah, check me out on YouTube. Check me out on Twitter. I'm trying to push out a little bit more content these days. And yeah, see me there. It's been a pleasure. Love you guys.
Thanks for coming on. And if you want to check me out this Friday, as I remember, I've got a StubzCast, the content creator podcast. And this time, I'm interviewing and having a conversation with Luke Steele from Green Pass Gaming and the Indie Games podcast, before I forget, Indie Gamer. But yes, 9 p.m. British Summer Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my channel. And that should be fun. And it should also be available on podcast networks after, as will this podcast be. As well, if you'd like to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, that would really help. And Spotify as well. That would really help if you would help the show grow on podcast platforms. But yes, thank you everyone for popping in and listening on demand on YouTube or wherever you find this podcast. It's in motor. When's Luke's show? This Friday. Luke Steele's coming on the StubzCast, 9 p.m. BST, 4 p.m. EST. So thanks everyone. And we will see you next week. And if you're coming to the show, I'll see you Friday. Thanks everyone.
Peace out, gamers.
Bye-bye.
Have fun.